Now, I don't know if this was a white woman or if this was a light-skinned black woman, because when you're talking about New Orleans and Louisiana, we a little bit of everything. I thought she was Creole. Turns out this a white lady. She's actually one of the only Loa spirits in the Voodoo pantheon that's white. Let me tell you how she got here. Now, Mama Bridget made her way down from Ireland. She's connected closely with the Celtic goddess Bridget. And later, she became a Catholic saint named Bridget. Voodoo practitioners use Catholicism to veil their practices, and Bridget became the wife of the Loa spirit, Baron Samedi. She's rowdy, loud, passionate, vibrant. She was known to have pale skin and red hair. Now, it's said that when the Irish were arrested and sentenced for their crimes, they would often be sent to plantations like sugar plantations to work out their indentured servitude. Now, the Haitians worked the sugar plantations, so the Irish and the Haitians started to bond, and they shared. One of the things they would share were their dolls of Bridget. The Irish would carry these dolls of Bridget for protection. The Haitians had picked up some of the practices and ideologies of Bridget, incorporating her into the Voodoo pantheon. And of course, because Louisiana Voodoo and Louisiana Hoodoo were overlapping, she was incorporated into Hoodoo practice. Now, Bridget and Samedi worked the cemetery. Bridget is known to stand over corpses to prevent them from turning into zombies. The first man buried at a cemetery.
Love this elder. She's always very, very, very gracious in her comments. So here I go to build off of the comment that I left, as well as correct some things that she stated in the video. So the reason that she, as well as many people, thought that Mama Bridget was a Creole woman is because although she Irish, she technically is a Creole. She technically is a mulatto. So when you begin to look at my great grandfather, Hughes, Hughes, he was Irish. He was naturalized as a citizen in 1848 in Natchez, Mississippi. This is aligning to the quote-unquote potato famine that took place in Ireland during this time. It's essential to know that this actually was a Holocaust of the Sephardic Jews in Ireland. This is where you begin to get the terminology of the Black Irish. And they attempt to begin to say that this was specifically just talking about people with dark hair and dark eyes and not Black people. This could not be anything further from the truth. When we begin to look at Great Britain coming in as landlords into Ireland, these people were farmers. They owned their own land. And Great Britain came in and indentured those who were not wealthy enough to buy their land back. And they ended up having to go into indentured servitude into the Americas, i.e. Louisiana, i.e. Mississippi, into the Caribbean, specifically Jamaica and Montserrat. So when you begin to see these Irish people groups going into Jamaica, this is where you begin to, and Montserrat, this is where you begin to get the celebration of St. Patrick's Day, as well as the Jamaican and Montserratian patos or Montserratian Creole accent from. It derives from the Sephardic Jews in Ireland. It's very important to know that my great-great-great-grandfather, whose last name was Hughes, was a branch of the Sephardic Jews who actually left France. France was blamed by Nazi Germany for Negroifying Germany. They were blamed for being the one to Negroize and bastardize the blood of the Jews, correlating the Jews who lived on the Rhineland to the Negroes who lived on the Rhineland. Hitler began to call these people groups Rhineland bastards. It's important to know that Native Indians were sent into Nazi Germany to fight in World War II. They were also being Holocaust and sterilized. It's important to also deduce the fact that West Africans from Senegal, from the Gambia, from Guyana Faso, from Niger, from Libya, and from Chad whom all were left over there from 322 BC in the time of Esther under the Persian captivity, dating all the way back to the Tuareg people, or the blue or the indigo people, who are the direct progenitors, the grandfathers, Sareg, of Abraham. Line up on line, precept on precept. These people were sent out into captivity in 322 BC, and then in captivity again into Nazi Germany by Hitler. We have to begin to realize that the native Indians were also sold into slavery into Europe and into West Africa. So when we begin to look into the dispersion of these Irish people into Mississippi, into Louisiana, into Jamaica, and into Montserrat, these people left and ended up in Ireland from France. When we even began to look at during the time of Yeshua, after his ascension in around 39 AD, it is chronicled that Mary Magdalene, Joseph of Arimathea, as well as Mark, not only went into Egypt, but they fled into France. And this is where you get the Huguenots. The Huguenots are those who protested the Roman Catholic Church, which is why Great Britain would be going into Ireland to further subjugate these people whom they have been having civil wars with for centuries and for eons. So when you begin to look at the red hair of this Ishia or Anarisha in Louisiana Voodoo and Louisiana Hoodoo, then we begin to ascertain the historicity behind the movie Sinners. When we begin to see that these Irish people were being sent money by the Choctaw Native Indians in the 1700s and the 1800s, it would make sense as to why my grandfather's family, when they fled Ireland, they went into Natchez, Mississippi to live among the Choctaw Native Americans, where that population of these Jews went from 5,000 to 15,000. At the same time, even in the 1700s, when they experienced famine and war before, these Irish people were already there before the Haitians end up coming over into Louisiana. It's very important to know that the French, German, Swiss, Dutch, Irish, and Italian Black people were already living in Louisiana and living in Mississippi before the Haitians began to come into Louisiana and come into Mississippi. This is why Louisiana French and Louisiana Creole and Louisiana Cajun is a different dialect from Haitian Creole, which is closely related to West African languages due to the fact that these Creoles that was already in Louisiana were originally called mulatto in Spain and in Portugal. So their form of Hebrew was Ladino. And this is the same form of Hebrew that was spoken by Christopher Colombo, the Coromante, the Akan. And so when you begin to see this, they were out of Africa a lot longer than the West Africans that are known to be the Haitians. So the Haitians form of Creole and the Haitians form of even they speak dialect. Their Creole is mutually intelligible to the Creole and the Nigerian Pidginese spoke in West Africa, because these Haitian people came directly from West Africa, just like the Gullah Geechee in South Carolina came directly from West Africa, and they have the identical accent to the Bahamian people. And these Bahamian people actually ended up coming from Europe into Bahamas and into Mexico in 525 AD. And these would be the bloodline of the Yoruba, the Mende, the Mandinka, the Fulani, so on and so forth. So these are Black people. Southern and Northern Kingdom Israelites.